Okay, I'm gonna see how difficult it would be on this mixed media paper, that one aside for now, just to do a little mini landscape. If you watched my selecting your paper tutorial, you'll know that I tried several different types of pastel paper, and you can't see me doing the air quotes, but I'm doing air quotes, pastel papers. And if you didn't watch that, go ahead and check that out. It's going to help you make that decision when you go into trying to figure out what kind of paper you need for your project. One of the papers I tested was just a real nice little soft, well, I say soft, and that just means smooth. It's called rough, and you may or may not be able to see the grain on there. But if you could, I'll see my finger just actually had some, I was just opening some things and I got some black on there. That's fine. It's kind of got a two-sided. This one is smoother than this one. This is the rougher side. I've got some small applicators here and not enough coffee. All right, so I'm just going to see what would be needed to just lay out a nice little soft landscape, maybe put a tree in there or something. So I'm going to take a clean one of my soft tools, SOFFT tools, these little sponge applicators slide onto these palette knives. There are multiple shapes that you can buy, and you can buy the, there's like a little package. I'm trying to remember if I have one of them. Well, I don't think I have a new one around to show you, but this shape, and then you also can get the square and a rounded one. So I'll probably try using all of those. I may throw in, if I might be using some of the blending stumps or cotton buds. But anyway, this is going to be a short little, just kind of testing out the possibility of laying down a little, I was hoping this still had blue and green, a little kind of landscapey thing here. So I'm just going to take very lightly, and if I remember correctly, this goes on very lightly. So I'm not taping down or anything. I'm just laying out some blue sky. And this is where I had mentioned for this particular, this is Artist Loft. For this particular paper, I'm gonna take my finger and put some white in here and just lay in, see if it'll let me lay in some clouds. This particular paper was so, not soft, but it didn't have the tooth that would be required for some of the other types of projects that I like to do. So, you know, I wasn't going to recommend it for doing pet portraits and that kind of thing, but more so just kind of soft landscapes. So you see I'm using the earbud, taking some of the white and just kind of laying in some soft little clouds in here. Nothing too striking, just kind of really playing with it at this point to just see what we can kind of pull out of this one little scrap that I had of paper. I know this one has the green on it, so I'm going to mix some lemony green or lime green for the distant hill. Just kind of, you know, nothing fancy, just laying it down. You see the yellow one on in the back, that's perfect. I would want it to change a little bit for the foreground. I'm liking the way that's looking. And this is as simple as it's going to be. Let's go in with, I'm gonna go very lightly here and see if I can take a pencil and just put a little bit more in the foreground there. But meanwhile, let's see if it will allow me to lay in just very basic brown. Maybe a little tree, something going in here. Nothing spectacular, but just, you know, kind of throwing something down on the paper. So it's kind of soft and airy, And then I'm going to take this and try to put in some kind of leaves. And let's do, for those leaves, I'm gonna mix them a little bit so they're not quite matching everything else. Not too green, I think, and I added a little blue in there. Just kind of, you know, there you go. See, it's a different color green. And I'm just kind of laying in, and you can see that there's, I don't know if you can see it or not actually, there's a little bit of a chalkiness already on the paper from laying in this additional color. I'm not gonna blow it off. I'm going to tap it off so you can see how much came off of there, because this will not grab, like, for example, a pastel mat. It's going to instead just lay the pastel on top of itself. And that's unfortunate, because what happens if you're not careful is just like what I just did, where you've got color on there, you've got pigment there, but that pigment is not actually adhering into the paper. So I'm trying here now a little bit. We'll put some shaded areas in here, and then we'll put some lighter areas. Near the top, like there's some light source somewhere. If you're not careful, then that pigment's going to go in there just fine, but it's also going to come off very easily, smudge very easily, you know, all of that kind of thing. So I've got those in there. Now let's see, I'm going to take a blending stump, and I've not done this before, but I'm going to try. I'm going to get a little bit of a dark mix of the green and black. Just a darker green. That's called a shade, because I'm adding dark to it. And I'm gonna see if this will allow me, yeah, sure, to put in some distant kind of maybe fir trees. And you see how you can use the pastel, I mean the blending stump with the pastel even, to get kind of a different type of application. Just kind of, you know, something in the distance, a little interest back there, some little distant trees, and there I go blowing it off, but that's okay. So that's coming along just fine. And this is just a little scrap of, like I said, the art, let me grab that real quick. One sec. It is the Artist Loft Mixed Media Rough. It's 140 pounds. It is acid free. And I would not normally use it with pastel, but I'm testing stuff out, and I'm hoping that this will help you as well to kind of get an idea of what to expect from the different types of papers that are out there. Now, because I've got those trees in the distance, I'm going to pull one a little bit forward and just kind of give it. And again, I'm using a blending stump. I've never done this before. So now with this one coming forward, I think I'll add a little bit more definition by taking one of the little applicators here and just kind of tapping that out to give that one a little bit more definition. And then I could actually come, which I will, come back in there with a colored pencil, again with the blowing, and maybe just add, you know, so a little bit more definition. And this is not doing very well. And that was one of the problems when I demoed the papers, was that you can't really get, once you get to a certain point on the layer, because there is no tooth, you can't really get a good, nothing. That's just not going to, it's just not going to happen. See, I got there because that's like closer to the paper. So I'm just trying to lay in some color, but anywhere where there's already a layered pastel on there, it's not going to adhere. It is adhering to those places where it's just sky. So let me try something else. I'm going to try, just to see, I have an Artistro 72 colored pencil set here, and I'm curious with the watercolor pencils, that's dark enough, to see if that will work. and it does. So this is another idea I had mentioned in the paper tutorial, that it's possible you could use another medium and kind of go over. And I'm just kind of, you know, throwing in some different texture in here, just something a little bit more, you know, give it a little life, you know, some greenery, or as me and my son used to say, we used to crack up with each other, we'd say greenery. I don't know why, it was so funny. He's such a cutie. But yeah, so you could use some, and I'm sure with the colored pencils as well, which I have here, the, this one is the, no, it's not. I used the container. It was the Arteza, which I did like those. So we'll have to maybe do a tutorial with those. This is just a regular colored pencil. So I'm curious to see, oh yeah, that does really well, even with, let's see how we're doing up here with it. Well, it's gonna react the same as the watercolor pencil, as far as anywhere where it's layered, because it just doesn't have anything to grab onto. And when it's working with that, now I wanna draw, I wanna play. When it's working with that layer that's already on there and the smoothness of the paper, it's not going to give you the ability to have that ability to kind of layer. That's why I like the pastel mat if I'm actually really going in with a serious pastel painting. I'm taking some darker brown, just kind of throwing in a little darkness on this side of the tree, give it a little shade, a couple of shadows here and there, but that's it. That's all I wanted to do, was just kind of throw something in there, see how it did with this type of paper, which is really good for practicing. Because if I want to, you know, like I was doing with the clouds, I think it was this one, doesn't matter, we'll use it. I was trying to see, you know, with that blue in the background, I mean, I could possibly darken. I normally would have darker at the top of the sky and then lighter as I go down. But you know, you can still, for landscapes, this type of a paper could actually be kind of fun. I could definitely do more with this. It's just, for now, I wanted to show you what that possibility was laying down, because I had mentioned in that tutorial using a watercolor pencil or a regular colored pencil to see what that would, how that would work. And it's kind of the same thing. So that's what we found out. This is the, which one is this? Yeah, okay, so this is one of the Stabilo. So this is one of the pastels, and it definitely did not grab as well as I had liked onto any place that was, so pastel on pastel, not really good. But if you're going to take, what do you have? I wonder if the white will even, not really. See, it just can't. It has nothing to grab onto. So just remember that, you know, when you're wanting to mess with something like this and just kind of get some practice in, use it more for testing your blending. So for example, for testing the ability to, you know, kind of have a smooth transition, like say if there was a sunset, you know, and you wanted to show that transition. So you would lay that down, take a blending stump and go between them to kind of have that nice transition, which you can do on this kind of paper. You can practice that kind of blending. And then when you get to doing something more serious, you'll have that, you know, muscle memory of, you know, what it's going to take to get that down. Anyway, that's it. I just wanted to show you what I had mentioned in the paper tutorial with regard to using a multimedia paper for a different type of little project, maybe a landscape or something. Pastels are fun. Pastels are really cool. I really love them. I think you can tell. And it's just something that sometimes it's good to play around with some different techniques. That's about it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful continued journey.